Well, what up, y'all? In this video, I want to talk about, how you can have more or build stronger masculine frame and build more confidence and get more out of your interactions, right? Like, and basically, how you're gonna do that is by, I guess we'll call, introducing different relationship dynamics, at different times, where it wouldn't, where most people don't usually have the ability to do that, right? So I'll give you an example, right? So let's say that you go to the coffee shop and you're, ordering your coffee, right? There's these, everywhere you go, there's these relationship dynamics that are set in place, right? So when you go to talk to the barista to order your coffee, the relationship dynamic in that moment is customer worker, customer employee, right? And if you're, playing it safe, you'll stay within that, right? You'll just be like, okay, hi, can I get, you know, a coffee? And they'll be like, yes, you can get a coffee. That will be this amount of money. Card or cash? Okay, card. You buy the coffee, you go to your seat, and you kept it customer employee, right? But if you want to start to build this ability to actually have influence over other people and build connections and actually take a risk and be strong, what you need to do is you need to learn how to actually change this dynamic, right? So you'll add in another dynamic, which would be, you know, customer slash friend and worker slash friend, right? So what you'll do is you can start simple. How's your day going? Oh, really? Are you doing anything fun after work? Oh, that's cool. Oh, you like, you know, blah blah blah. You're gonna go play some tennis after work. Oh, that's cool. I used to play tennis. Blah 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 blah. Right? And it doesn't even matter if you end up, asking the barista on a date, or maybe it's, a guy or whatever. But the point is that you're learning how to disrupt, other people. Not in a bad way, but how to disrupt the everyday mundane relationships that you have with other people in society, right? And this is, it's actually very strong, because if you're a masculine man, your job is essentially to move things, right? You're gonna, you're not just gonna take the route of least resistance and just react based off that other person. You don't want to necessarily just be like, oh, this is a coffee shop worker and I'm an employee, so I'm stuck in my little box, or this, and I'm in a customer, so I'm stuck in my little box and I have to be the customer and just act like that. That's not very masculine. There's nothing wrong if that's all you want to do, but I suggest practicing, because when we have a wife, or whatever, we have to be able to be in control of that dynamic, right? Or even in the early dating stages, the woman often is not gonna turn it into a dating relationship if you like her. She's just gonna stay platonic with you, and you have to be the one that escalates. So that's why you have to be good at actually creating the relationship dynamic, right? Because the girl is not gonna escalate it to the next level, to from friendship to romantic. So that's why you have to always practice, how can I disrupt the flow? Because if we keep flowing, you know, if you like a girl and you keep flowing in the same direction without doing anything, you might just end up as friends, or, which is not necessarily a bad thing to start, but you also have to be mindful that, at some point you have to be the one that disrupts the flow by holding her hand, telling her she's pretty, blah 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 blah, right? And I think it's also not even super it's not even super masculine necessarily. I think that, all right, there's two ways of looking at, reading social cues, right? So you can go about it like reading someone's cue and then going off of that, right? Like, let's say you go to order a coffee, and the same example, and the barista's not smiling, right? So you say, well, I'm not going to smile because it doesn't look like she's having a good day, so you're just going to get your coffee and get out. Well, you could say that that's socially aware, right? The barista doesn't look like they're having a good day, so let's just let them be alone. That's one way of doing it, but that's not the only way. The other way of going about it is thinking, oh, this barista doesn't look happy. I'm going to try to actually disrupt that. I'm going to actually try to make them happy. I'm going to actually take a risk. And yeah, we might not be in sync at the start. I might be the happy one and they're the one who's sad or bummed out or irritated. But I'm going to take a risk and see if I can actually get them to harmonize with what I'm thinking, with the way I'm feeling. And that's actually not necessarily socially unaware. Somebody could read that as socially unaware, where they're like, thinking, oh, I look irritated and this person's trying to make me feel better. Why don't they just, meet me where I'm at? But I don't think either is necessarily wrong, but you have to learn how to not just think and react off other people, because it doesn't always work like that, right? Like for example, I had one of my coworkers once ask this girl if she was single or something like that, and then she said that she's not, and then he just gave up, you know what I'm saying? And then I went up and I asked her, hey, are you single, blah 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 blah, and she said, yes, I'm single, or whatever, because I think she said that because I don't know, I talked with her for longer, or I got the vibe up in that conversation, so I got her to admit that she's actually single. So I told my coworker, yo, go up to her, just go chat it up with her again, and then eventually she'll start acting like she's single around you. But he didn't want to do it. He's like, nah, she already said that she's dating somebody. And I'm like, well, dude, we're in the workplace, so she probably just didn't feel safe around you yet. So just go up and keep talking with her, and she'll change her mind and tell you that she's actually single. I mean, that's hopefully what she wasn't just lying both ways. But sometimes, like I'm saying, it's not always socially aware to actually react based off of what other people tell you, or based off their cues. It's not actually always like that. Sometimes you have to disagree, and sometimes you got to ask yourself, is this dynamic that I want to create between this person, is it actually worth defending, right? Because if you actually want to like a girl, if you like a girl and she just keeps trying to blow you off, maybe you got to actually defend it. Like, you got to have actually like a desire to not allow her to control the frame, to not allow her to friend zone you or tell you that she doesn't date coworkers, or something like that. Like, sometimes you gotta defend it, and that's where it starts. It starts in the coffee shop, when you change the dynamic from customer to employee. You change it to something outside of that, like a friend to friend dynamic. You start talking to the barista like a friend. That's where this ability to change the relationship dynamics, the current dynamic at hand, the ability starts there, right? And that's where you learn how to build strength in doing that, where you don't fold up when that other person gives you a cue that you don't like, right? You don't necessarily bow down to it. And that's basically, having strong frame is the ability to reject the offered relationship dynamic that other people give you, right? Reject it. Learn how to reject it. Be like, I don't like this. I don't want to be treated like a customer. I'm going to treat you like a friend in this moment. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, get out and practice. It doesn't mean that you got to be this complete extrovert, you know. It doesn't mean you got to be chatting it up with everybody, but give it a little bit of a shot. Even with cashiers, with somebody you meet on the bus, you know, there's a way to always ask yourself, okay, you know, it's always worth a shot. Let's say you meet a girl who's on the bus, and you could think, okay, our relationship is passenger to passenger. You know, we're just passengers on this bus, and that's it. You know, you can just give up. You can fold up like that. Or you can be like, you know what? Yeah, we're both passengers, but passengers are people, and people can be friends. And I can talk to this girl and ask her out. You know, then you start working outside the box, which is actually what you need to do. You need to learn. Okay, have a good day, y'all. Peace.